Stevens, News Director for GoldsboroDailyNews.com, and I have the utmost privilege today of being here in Seven Springs with World War II veteran Thurston Quinn. Mr. Thurston, thank you so much for taking some time to talk with us today. Can you tell me, where you grew up and what your childhood was like?
Well, I grew up we were tenant farmers because we lost everything during the Depression. And then I went to Maryland and worked a dredge boat when I was 17. And I came back and went back to school and finished high school. And as soon as I finished high school, they sent me to the Army.
And you grew up in this area in Seven Springs, is that correct?
Out here in a little place called Liddell, about 6 miles from town. And yes, and what else would you like?
Now, did you have siblings?
Oh yes, there was 6 of us.
Oh wow.
Yeah, one brother and 4 girls.
Now, what type of work did your parents do?
My parents were farmers back in them days.
Did you guys have specific things that you grew and raised on the farm?
Oh yes, always. All the children had duties to do. They had to make sure there was some splinters to start that fire with the next morning, and chuck the corn and stuff for the livestock.
Oh yeah. Now, when it came to your military service, did you enlist or were you drafted?
I was drafted, I see, my birthday's in December, so I was drafted at that December. But I went down there and talked to the people of the draft board, and the man promised me that if I wanted to finish school, they'd do that, and then I'm like every other draftee did. Well, that's what happened. I finished the school. 2 weeks later, I was at Fort Bragg.
Now, what year was that?
Oh hell, I don't know.
Okay. Now, you were drafted in the Army, correct?
Somewhere in the 40s, 43 or 2 or somewhere along there back there.
And that was in the Army, correct?
Mm-hmm.
And where did you go first after you got drafted?
Camp Croft, South Carolina.
And what did they have you doing when you got there?
Basic training.
And how was boot camp? Can you kind of describe that for us?
Well, it's just like about any other boot camp. You do all those things they try to teach you to do. But they put me in the I&R platoon, so I didn't have no gun.
And now, what were you doing in that platoon?
It was an intelligence and reconnaissance.
Okay.
You know what that is?
Sure.
And I stayed in that, really. All we had was a pocket full of maps and old bayonet and that old piano string, I called it. Had a little knob on each end of it.
Now, how old were you at that time?
18.
Oh wow. Were you nervous or scared?
Not really. I just went along with the flow.
Was that your first time being away from home for that long?
That trip to Maryland on the dredge boat was the first time I've been away from home.
Okay.
Yeah. But then I stopped that and went back to school.
And now, where did you serve the majority of your time when you were in the Army?
And, majority, I'd say in Germany. 'Cause when I got through with basic training, they shipped me right straight to France.
How would you describe your time in Germany?
Well, I don't know. It was military stuff every day.
What was a normal day for you like in Germany?
Well, they had the bulge about that time.
Sure.
And they took the platoon I was in and made them infantry, because they needed infantry. They gave me a gun and told me to go down at the coast and learn how to shoot it.
How'd that work out for you?
It worked out all right, because then we started traveling towards the other side.
Sure.
And
What?
every time we And about all we done was, I'd call it, about cleanup. Cause a little old village like this, they didn't shoot at us, we didn't mess with it, walk right on through.
Yeah. When you were in Germany, what were some of the things that you missed the most about home?
Man, I don't know, I ain't thought about home except in cold weather. I said if I ever got back home, I was gonna build me a fire.
Yeah, it was cold over there, wasn't it?
In some spots, but the outfit I was in gradually drifted lower into the southern atmosphere, and so it was a little warmer.
Did you ever see any combat while you were over there?
Yeah, 2 towns. I'm talking about big combat now.
Can you kind of describe what that was like for us?
Well, I don't know, except you're scared as hell.
Yeah, sure.
All the time. Afraid you're gonna get shot.
I would imagine that's unlike anything else you had ever experienced up until that point, huh?
Oh yes, I never even pointed a gun at nobody. I don't reckon.
Sure. Is that something that since you've been out of the military, you've kind of been able to process and work through those combat situations?
Well, I've learned one thing about that.
Sure.
If you're dead, you're dead.
Absolutely. What were some of your most memorable experiences from your time in the military?
I don't know. It was everyday combat. You just keep going.
Were you able to stay in touch with any of the guys that you served with when you got out?
One. And he was from Blue Comma. And
Okay.
he died at 91.
And what was his name?
Harold Lamb.
You guys stayed pretty good friends?
Yes.
How often were you able to see Harold?
Well, I don't know. I'd go up there once in a while. He had well, one that I really remember is his birthday party.
Yeah. How did serving in the military impact your life after you got back and were a civilian?
When I got back, well, I didn't want to do nothing, that's for sure.
Why do you think that was?
I don't know. That's, over there, you had one object and that was it.
That's right. What type of work did you do when you got back to this country?
Oh man, you don't want to ask me that. Some of everything.
Okay, what can you tell me about that?
Well, I believe I did start out as a mechanic, but then I switched over to, what did I switch over to? But I've been in independent communications about 25, 30 years.
And what all types of things did you do with independent communications?
Oh, it was all the speakers in these big food lines and things, you know, and,
Sure.
and microphones, and we did some telephones and everything like that. Drive through at the window.
Now, was that your company or did you work for someone else?
No, I was working for another company, Independence Communications.
Okay. You guys were all over Eastern North Carolina, or where did?
Yes, sir. All the way from the edge of Virginia right on down to South Carolina line.
Now, how did you get involved in that type of work?
Well, I had a job one time with Mr. Hull up there in Gold. They were cement people, and I worked one of the cement places for them, and I read this in the paper. This job was open, you know, and I went over there, and he was in the TV business back them days mostly. So, and it just gradually grew from that, I guess.
Let's go back to your military service for a minute. What types of medals or awards did you get for your time in service?
Well, let's see here. I got 2 Bronze Stars. I got a Combat Infantry badge. and all that kind of stuff. They give away occupation badge. Cause see, I was in there when the war ended, and I didn't have enough points to come home. Back then they went by the points.
Okay.
If you had so many points and been there so long, you could come on back home. But they kept all of us for occupational.
Now, how long were you there after the war was over?
Lord, I have no idea. Because I was just going with the flow.
What was that feeling like when you guys knew that the war had ended?
Not much difference. They just load us up and bring us back to Camp 3 or Camp, them cigarette camps. Lucky Strike, No Go. They named them that after the war. Where they were that for the war before.
Now, were you ever married, Mr. Quinn?
Oh yes. Everybody gets married, don't they?
What can you tell us about your wife and what that relationship was like?
Well, we had a good relationship for a while, and it gradually got worse and worse. Separated. She died later, too.
What was her name?
Gail.
Now, did you guys have any children?
2. A boy and a girl. The girl's in Idaho, the boy's in Lumberton.
Have you been able to kind of connect with any of the other guys that you served with at any point?
No. I can't even remember the names no more.
What can you tell us about your relationship with the DAV in Goldsboro and kind of how they've been able to help you?
Well, I used to be with Federal. See, I go down, and then I decided to transfer up here because it's give about 80 miles down there to Federal.
Sure.
So I transferred up here and cut my mileage down, having to go. So that's the reason I'm up here. And I haven't been up here now, not long, because they're gradually getting everything lined back up.
Mm.
So.
Mr. Quinn, thank you so much for your service to our country in World War II. It's an honor to sit and hear your story, and appreciate all you've done to protect our freedom over the years.
Yeah, I want to tell you one more story.
Yes, sir.
Now, I remember this one pretty good.
Okay, let's hear it.
We were in battle up there, and for some reason there's a brick wall there that was just about this high to us. So there was 3 of us there, and we were shooting like the devil right there. I don't know who was shooting at, but anyhow. So I was getting low on ammunition. And I asked the buddy over there, I said, you got the more ammunition? He said, no. He says, I'm getting low too. But the guy that was in the middle had got shot. So we stood this minute too, a few seconds, and I finally said, well, let's use his. He ain't gonna use it no more. So, I mean, you do things like that without even thinking about it.
Sure.
Because if you're dead, you're dead.
That's right. That's right. Well, he's Thurston Quinn, Seven Springs native and World War II veteran that we're honored to have in our community. For more stories like this, please follow Goldsboro Daily News on Facebook. Stay connected to our website, goldsborodailynews.com. For Goldsboro Daily News, I'm Andrew Stevens.